Elon Musk is almost seen as this god amongst men. People worship the ground he walks on and lick his boots on every single topic. They just treat him like he can do no wrong when all he does is be wrong. The dude is like an overgrown man child who he has way too much time and money on his hands and just makes some really bad, terrible decisions. The most recent example of this was when he bought Twitter, a company that was just hemorrhaging money and losing money at such an alarming rate, and yet he forked out $44 billion to purchase the company, all under the guise of free speech. And I've already talked about how that whole fiasco turned out, the terrible Twitter Blue situation. All that I've already discussed. His Twitter arc, everyone's already familiar with it, and you're probably familiar with him as a person, all the things he's done. He's a pretty prominent figure. But this video today is an update, a follow-up situation, I guess, a continuation of his Twitter arc. And I guess during this arc, you could say he's becoming more and more like the villain. More like the bad guy in this story. The antagonist, not the protagonist, that's here to save the day and give everybody free speech and make Twitter this perfect utopia. Because what he did yesterday was pretty much just make fun of publicly an employee that just so happens to have a disability. But now that I've gave you the hook of the story, let's go ahead and rewind it to the beginning so I can lay out the whole lore for you here and catch you up to speed. It all started on March 6th when some dude named Hallie, or his full name is like Haraldur Thorfinson, something like that, I don't know, but he goes by Hallie on Twitter. But he tweeted and said, "Dear Elon Musk," starting this off like he's about to send it off on a carrier pigeon. "9 days ago, the access to my work computer was cut, along with about 200 other Twitter employees. However, your head of HR is not able to confirm if I am an employee or not. You've not answered my emails. Maybe if enough people retweet, you'll answer me here?" Because Elon Musk is very active on Twitter. It's like whenever you have a problem on YouTube, you can't email anybody. You got to take to Twitter to get a response from YouTube. So it's like everybody's just got to go to Twitter to figure out some pretty crucial information. But then Elon Musk actually does end up replying, because when you add him on Twitter, I guess it's like putting the bat signal into the sky. He just knows to show up. And he says, "What work have you been doing?" And then Hallie responds and says, "I would need to break confidentiality to answer this question here. If your lawyer share in writing that I can do so, then I'd be happy to discuss that openly." And he says, "It's approved. You go ahead." So you got the, you got the approval from the big cheese. And then he goes ahead and he lays out the work he's done. Among other things, he says he's led the effort to save about $500,000 on one SaaS contract. Don't know what that means. Supported closing down many others, led prioritization of design projects across the company to make sure we were able to deliver with a small team, led design critics across the company, was a hiring manager for all design roles, worked on efforts to steer the company away from focusing on power users and onto younger users because our user base is aging." And then Elon Musk says, "Level up from what design to what? Picks where it didn't happen." Great argument. "We haven't hired design roles in 4 months. What changes did you make to help with the youths?" And then replies again with a clip from the movie Office Space saying, "What would you say you do here? Would you say that you're a people person?" And this clip is very, the way I interpret this is very condescending, basically being like, seems like you don't do a lot of work here anyways.
What would you say you do here?
Well, look, I already told you. I deal with the goddamn customers so the engineers don't have to. I have people skills. I am good at dealing with people. Can't you understand it? What the hell is wrong with you people?
Yeah, so the clip was clearly meant to be a little jab, being like, "Oh, you don't seem to do much work here in the first place." And also to give you more backstory on Hallie or Holly, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, I apologize if I'm not, but the reason that he works at Twitter in the first place is because he founded and was the CEO of a company called Ueno.co, and it got bought and ended up like becoming part of Twitter. So that's why he started working at Twitter. But now that you know why he's here and what he's doing there, the tweet that I just read from you, the screenshots, was posted by this guy named Alex Cohen, which then prompted Elon Musk to respond and say probably the worst thing in this whole entire little bit of Twitter drama. He says, "The reality is that this guy, who is independently wealthy, did no actual work, claimed as his excuse that he had a disability that prevented him from topping, yet was simultaneously tweeting up a storm. Can't say I have a lot of respect for that. And as you can see, if you're looking at your screen right now and you don't just have me playing in the background, it has been fact-checked. There's been additional context added because Elon Musk realized he made a bit of an oopsie, a little bit more than an oopsie. He showed himself as a pretty bad dude, making fun of someone that has a disability for basically no reason other than to get updates on Twitter. But switching back over to Hallie and just talking about how he's handling this situation, he tweeted out after that first initial tweet and said, okay, following long threaded back and forth replies on Twitter is a bit complicated, so let me give you the highlights. After no straight answers on my employment status for 9 days, I asked Elon Musk to tell me if I had been laid off. He sort of replied. He asked what I'd been working on. When I told him, he laughed, which, to be fair, I get. I'm quite funny. Then all of a sudden, Twitter's head of HR, who had previously twice been unable to tell me if I had a job or not, emailed and said I was no longer employed, which is totally okay. Happens all the time. Companies let people go. That's within their rights. They usually tell people about it, but that's seemingly the optional part at Twitter right now, which that seems to be a big issue and has been a big issue since Elon Musk took over Twitter. He's just firing people left and right, just going willy-nilly, just shooting off people from the staff and not really giving them a heads up or any prompting, just straight up booting them out to the curb and saying, good luck, buckaroo. But, you know, it's his company, whatever, yada yada. Hallie also says, but okay, fair enough, I've been laid off and I'm okay with that. Next up, though, is finding out if Twitter will pay me what they owe me per my contract, or will, at Elon Musk, one of the richest people in the world, try to avoid paying. Stay tuned! And that is the part of the contract that I was talking about when I said that his company merged and was like, you know, absorbed into Twitter. In that contract, it's rumored, I don't know if it's been confirmed, that if he was to be fired or laid off, they would have to pay him $100 million. 100 million doubloons, if you will. But now we get to Hallie's response on what I read you a minute ago about Elon Musk saying that he was using his disability to basically say he can't do any work. He says, hi again at Elon Musk. Hope you're well. I'm fine too. I'm thankful for your interest in my health, but since you mentioned it, I wanted to give you more info. I have muscular dystrophy. It has many effects on my body. Let me tell you what they are. And then in the replies, he tells you everything. My legs were the first to go when I was 25 years old. I started using a wheelchair. It's been 20 years since that happened. In that time, the rest of my body has been failing me too. I need to get help in and out of the bed and use the toilet. For a long time, I thought my arms would remain strong. A doctor told me they would, but they ended up losing strength, which I don't mind telling you was hard to accept. But you okay with the cards you were dealt, and I've managed to create a wonderful life. My family's the best. I have 2 kids. I see them every day. I recommend that. God. Oh, wow. My wife is fantastic, strong, kind, smart, amazing artist. Couldn't be happier with her. About 9 years ago, I started a company called UN.co, which I told you about, Ueno. I worked a lot. It didn't do my body any favors, but it's what I felt I needed to do. The hard work paid off, and the company became very successful. And then I'm going to skip over this because it is a very long thread, and I'm sure you don't want to hear my voice for that long. If you want to read it all, please, go to his Twitter, indulge yourself. But I'm just going to pick and choose the ones I'm going to read through here. He says, we worked for more or less every big tech company. We grew fast and made money. I think that's what you're referring to when you say independently wealthy. That I independently made my money as opposed to, say, inherited an emerald mine. God, he's absolutely eviscerating Elon in this thread, bro. But then he says after 7 years he was tired, and after looking at many options, he decided to sell his company to Twitter. And he says financially it wasn't the best decision, but he joined at a time when the company was growing fast. You kind of did the opposite. God, man, there's so many just absolute digs straight at Elon's little ego in this, and I love it, man. And he says he also contacted HR regularly and asked if his job description was correct or needed updating. He wanted to make sure he was doing what he was supposed to, because Elon Musk is, out here saying basically that this guy's doing nothing in the first place. And he says HR always said they were looking into it, but he never got a reply. And now he says, finally to his fingers, which I know you have great concern for. Thank you for that, by the way. I'll tell you what I told them. I'm not able to do manual work, which is in this case means typing or using a mouse for extended periods of time without my hands starting to cramp. I can, however, rot for an hour or two at a time. This wasn't a problem in Twitter 1.0, since I was a senior director and my job was mostly to help teams move forward, giving them strategic and tactical guidance. But he says, as he told HR, he can't work as a hands-on designer for the reasons outlined above, and he's topping this on his phone, by the way. It's easier for him because he only needs to use one finger. And then he ends it off by saying, I hope that helps. Let me know if you're going to pay what you owe me. I think you can afford it. Awesome, man. And while I was rendering this video, I seen that he replied to that thread I just went through and said, oh, I forgot to mention that I read you can't go to the toilet on your own either at Elon Musk. And he's referring to how Elon can't go to the toilet without his bodyguard. I guess he's a fearful pooper or something. Someone's going to sneak attack him while he's on the John. And he says, sorry to hear about that. I know the feeling. The only difference is I can't do it because of a physical disability. And you're afraid someone you hurt will attack you while you poop. So as you can tell, this dude, Hallie, has had a pretty rough go at life with a condition like muscular dystrophy. It's such a hard word for me to say. I get tongue-tied every time I say it. But he still ended up being wildly successful, doing great things with his life, has a family, all that kind of stuff. He seems very fulfilled. He's said that he's very proud of what he's accomplished. And then Elon Musk is out here making fun of this guy's disability, basically saying he's using the disability that actually does bar him from doing the work that he is, supposed to be doing, and then is clowning him or trying to clown him publicly on Twitter, making him seem like the one in the wrong and make himself, Elon, look like the savior, the good guy in the situation. But then to go down into the responses of Elon saying, making fun of the disability here, this guy says, as someone who's worked directly with I Am Harolder during a turnaround, this is super disappointing to see. Not only is his worth ethic next level, his talent and humility are world class. Exactly the kind of person you want on your team when the odds are stacked. And then Elon replies to that and says, based on your comment, I just did a video call with Hallie to figure out what's real versus what I was told. It's a long story. Better to talk to people than communicate via tweet. Really, Elon, you think that? Or are you just saying that because you realize how wrong you are and how messed up it was, the stuff you said? Are you trying to do a little bit of a, damage control, maybe? But then he replies again and says, I would like to apologize to Hallie for my misunderstanding of the situation. It was based on things I was told that were untrue or, in some cases, true, but not meaningful. He is considering remaining at Twitter. So instead of just actually apologizing, saying I was in the wrong, Elon Musk, I was in the wrong, I messed up, I said some stuff I shouldn't have said, I didn't look into it as much as I should have before tweeting about it to everyone. No, he tries to put the blame on other people, saying the information I was given was false. The people that told me about this, some of it was untrue and some of it just was meaningless. I'm not in the wrong. I'm just regurgitating what I was told, and that information from other people was wrong. I'm not to blame. Look, you didn't catch me red-handed. There's nothing on my hands. The blood's on everybody else's hands. Be mad at them, not me. And the crazy thing is that even in the replies, people are still just licking the boots of Elon Musk, being a Musk meat rodder to the max, saying, it's his company, he can do what he wants, say what he wants. Like, dude, that's just such a dumb thing to say if you actually understand this situation and what's going on. And you're not just siding with Elon Musk knowing nothing about the situation, just being biased because you like Elon Musk, therefore he can't do any wrong. Anyone I like on the internet can't do anything wrong, but everyone I don't like, everything they do is wrong. But then I think it's funny he also ended that off with, he is considering remaining at Twitter. Because he probably seen that there was that rumored $100 million payment that he had to give Hallie if he were to fire him. And he was like, oof, Twitter's already bleeding me for all the money that I own. I'm having to liquidate my Teslas, melt them down to sell them for scrap parts just to fund Twitter. So maybe I don't need to spend $100 million for a mistake of my own creation. Man, it just seems like Elon Musk little adventures into Twitter, buying it, exploring it and whatnot, has just been met with nothing but just bad decisions and tragedy. Anyways, I just wanted to show you that, to show you that Elon Musk is being a douchebag on Twitter. It's not the first time, probably won't be the last time. I just wanted to show you that he's not this savior of the world that some people seem to think he is. Now, this obviously isn't going to change the mind of the Musk meat rodders. They're going to be blindly following that guy until the day that the Tesla robots take over. But, nonetheless, I'll catch you in the next one.